This is just a quick demo of gpTools software, which is written by Mac for Mac and Windows, just to help me initially with my guitar practice, statistics and recording and logs, and also some other quick utilities, which I'll show you very briefly. So initially, let's look at the settings. This is where we set up, for example, the locations of the attachments database and the actual database of all the logs. And then we look at categories for the library, all the different library categories, the practice categories, the skills, the attachments, the URLs, songs, tasks and goals. So this is just where you configure the system. So just quickly show you some of the utility things. So we have the timers thing, which just allows you to set multiple timers, maybe a session timer and a practice timer. Very quick, very basic. We've got this clapboard facility, which I use for when recording. I might record an hour of QuickTime video and I maybe just want to capture a bit of it. So just before I record the bit that I think I'm going to want to capture, I'll just insert a clap there, which will put a marker against timestamp, so I know whereabouts in that hour-long video are the bits that I'm interested in. The improvise screen, which just lets you say, if you're improvising, you pick a number of you pick a delay between when this changes, and it basically just says do 7 notes, position 3 or position 2. It's mainly for when you're practicing pentatonics and stuff, and it just allows you to you're not aware of what you're going to be asked to play, so this allows you to vary what you play by playing what it tells you to, just for improvising. Not a very good explanation, but I think you get it. And we've got the library, which is one of the primary functions of this tool, the other being the practice session. So if we look at the library, these are all the categories I showed you earlier. And if we look at, for example, theory, I'm looking at dotted notes. Here are me attachments for this dotted note, so I can click that and look at it. Or I've got URLs that will take me to specific BGA courses or whatever that discuss those notes. You can use it for all kinds of stuff I store in here. BGA songs and stuff. So going along with that and with the practices as well, you get the attachments and URLs. So attachments, you categorize them how you like. There's your attachments. Here you can see for every attachment you click whereabouts it is in your library, if it is, and also if it's attached to any practices. And the same with the URLs. You could just see where they are in the system and what they're being used by. For example, there you can see that quick lick is in the library. It's in the library under licks, and it's also in 2 practices, the archived and the blues section of my practices. The main thing is for practicing, so I have the practice window with the categories I've set up. So for example, warm-ups. Let's take it that one. Let's edit that. We can set the BPM, the goal, the skills we use, the picking type if necessary, some notes, how long to practice for. What you can also do is see every time you have practiced that particular thing, and you can see any attachments that relate to it or any URLs. There isn't any for that, so let's look at something that's got there. We've got an attachment there, which takes you to Whiskey in the Jar intro URL. We've also got a URL there to the tab on ultimateguitar.com. You can also select something like a warm-up, and you can select start, When you start it, then stop, and then you can log it. So from here you can say, well, that was very good. So I get, by default 4 stars for that. I can overtype those notes. I can adjust the minutes, and I can adjust the date and the time and the actual BPM that I did in the practice. Okay, so you can see very, very simply how this works, how I've got it structured. It also gives you a summary over here. Let's look at something. Yeah, a summary here of all the practices that are shown along with what skill they require, and then it summarizes it by minutes and quantity of practices and minutes. So a lot of information in there. And then it's how you get the data out. Well, I've got my practice log, which if I go a couple of days and search, you see there's my practice log of everything that's been done. Again, a summary over here as to what categories I've been practicing over that given period. I often just screenshot that and use it, in my BGA forum just for posting my practice log. An alternative way is to use the statistics screen, so we can do date period practice report, which defaults to 2 days back. So lots of info there, include grouping it by skill, grouping them by category, and then showing all the information there. And you can copy that to clipboard and paste it into the forum, or you can, create that whole thing, capture that whole thing as an image, as I did there. And there's an image there. You can do things like all practices by category or practices by skill. You can export the practice information if you require. Go away. That's that. And that's it, really. Very brief, very quick run through this. I don't think there's anything else worth looking at, really. There's an information window which you can open when you've highlighted anything in the practice or the library to give you more information. You can, as I did have this, a couple of guys on the forum were beta testing this for me. So sometimes if I'd done a update to the database, I've got an option there where I could just send them a script which would paste in there and execute the SQL directly, which would make the appropriate and necessary updates to the database. And that's pretty much it. There's the little about screen. That's pretty much it. I hope that gives you some inspiration or ideas. It took me over a few months. The initial thing was just a few days, and then I've just added bits to it over the months. I've not done any development on it in a while. I probably won't do much more development to it because I'd probably like to rewrite it to work, as a web-based system with the data in the cloud, which I think would be quite convenient to be able to, bring it up on your phone or whatever while you're doing a little practice in your lunchtime at work or whatever. So, that's it. Thank you.